Wednesdays here on KCBQ 1170. We're filling in for the big man Craig Sewing today, who was out and about on the town here in San Diego. As always, I'm joined in studio by my co-host extraordinaire, Jason Hall with Team Home Loans.
Yes, Mr. Hall is here.
So I am looking at this article that's been flashing in front of me for the last 15 minutes. And so there's this big story going on right now. There's a lot of people from Central America that have all been coming across the border through Texas, and they're all getting caught. And for whatever reason, I think Barack Obama is calling it a humanitarian crisis, and he feels the need to help all of these people out that are coming across the border. A lot of them are families, a lot of kids, a lot of them apparently are kids without their families. And so what they've been trying to do here is ship all of these immigrants, or migrants I guess they would call them, over here to Southern California, and they were sending them all to the Murrieta Border Patrol station so they could process them and everything there. And apparently there's a bunch of protesters camping out up there, turning them away from Murrieta, and so they're sending them down here to San Diego, to the San Ysidro Border Patrol.
Wow.
So have you guys read anything about this? What's going on?
You know, I haven't, but it makes your thoughts, a lot of things come to your mind on thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely feel for those kids and feel for those families. U.S. is a great country to live in. That's why they want to come here. That's why we live here. That's why we have a lot of people want to come here. But we also do need to control our borders, so there's, that side of it. We can't take the whole world on, right? Every time there's some big thing, they think the U.S. is supposed to step up and take care of everything. And we can't. We can't take care of everything. So, what do we do?
It's not a black-white situation. There's a gray area.
So what are your thoughts on this, Brock?
Well, kind of an off-topic subject here. And I'm reading about an article in Ohio, and there were some cities in Ohio that had gone out and marketed to immigrants to come into their cities because there's been such a huge population drain from a lot of cities in Ohio, and they've been having huge success on drawing immigrants into these cities, refilling these vacant housing stocks. We're going 50 to 60% of vacant homes, and they're having success on doing this. It also is bringing employment back into these cities as well.
Yeah, it makes you think of Detroit. I know you're a Michigan fan.
Absolutely.
I've never been in Detroit, but seeing pictures and stuff, it makes me think of Gotham.
They need
right?
somebody to move into Detroit. I mean,
Yeah,
that
so
place is a ghost
the other
town.
night I was watching, is it Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah.
Is that on CNN, giving a little plug to him, but he was in Detroit and checking out some restaurants in Detroit, and they were just showing how bad downtown Detroit was. Now actually, if you look at most of Michigan, especially western Michigan, it's actually doing pretty well, but it's that downtown Detroit area that looks like just a bomb went off.
Yeah, I mean, I have some real estate friends out there in Detroit, and they've been talking about how they will pay you to take some of these houses from them. I mean, there's so many abandoned properties there, and it's definitely getting better. I think just like how GM and a lot of these places had to file BK and go through all their financial troubles, GM has totally risen up like a phoenix, out of the ashes, coming back. I've definitely been looking at, maybe picking some property up out there in Michigan, especially that Detroit area. I think there's a lot of opportunity because you can only stay down for so long. I mean, there's a lot of industry, there's a lot of business that goes through that Detroit market. I think that could be a really good opportunity to pick up some properties.
I think there was a big income property play there for a while when you could pick up property for pretty cheap out there, and the income generated from the renting those properties were pretty strong. I don't know if that's still out there anymore, but
yeah, I know a buddy of mine just picked up like 27 units for like 270 grand there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're paying like 10 grand a unit.
And you're definitely going to rent that. Like you like that 1% thing.
Yeah.
So the 10 grand a unit, you only need to rent it for $100, right?
Right.
And you're going to rent it for more than $100.
Yeah, at least 150. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. It is Detroit.
But yeah, I mean, getting back to the immigrants, that's a good idea. I mean, there's things out there. I mean, I think that's what people got to put the thinking caps on and come out with some creative ideas on maybe what we can or can't do. I know my dad's family's from Italy, and they came here during the Oklahoma land rush. And so it was opened up, hey, you want to come here, the Indian Territory is now going to become Oklahoma soon, and you can have a land rush and come stake your spot. And, that was where the Sooners came and all the, things with Oklahoma there on that. So, never know.
Definitely. So, I mean, in California, there's been a big push for illegal immigration. There's both sides of the story, and I try not to take too many sides on it, but they can get driver's licenses apparently now. They can get employment. There's a lot of rights that they have. Can somebody that's an illegal immigrant get a home loan?
Officially, it's a good question. On the application, ask if you're a U.S. citizen or However, when people answer, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen, if there is a credit history or something there, no one really ever asks for documentation. Now, if they answer no, and again, you should be truthful on any loan application you do, then we need to get residency cards, things to that. We need to find out your stuff. But good question. I mean, the answer I would say is no, but you never know. I've seen, I mean, doing this business 20 plus years, I've seen and heard of, people who had not U.S. residency, buy homes, sell homes, happen.
Well, according to some of the stats that just came out, so DataQuick is a local San Diego company here, and they come out with stats letting us know what's going on in the housing market here in Southern California and San Diego in particular. So some of the stats they just came out with is the number of homes sold, which usually increases drastically from like May to April, was actually down 2.3%. So maybe we could use some loans for these illegal immigrants. They can come in and buy some of these properties up.
Well,
it seems like.
I mean, it makes me think, just like we talked about with the no-income loan. It was crazy you could get a $600,000 loan. Some people may say, hey, maybe crazy to give somebody a loan who's not supposed to legally be here. Maybe they'll be deported, maybe with the next president, maybe at the next Congress. I mean, these are things that you have to concern about so we don't end up like Detroit, right? And that'd be the worst thing to happen, or we don't want another huge meltdown and stuff. But we do live close to the border. We're always going to have a bunch of immigrants who want to come here. And they do a great job for those that do come here and work. I mean, I've hired lots of people. I don't ask necessarily for their stuff. If they're there to work, they're there to work.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And so the article I was reading, what they're saying, the number of sales is down 2.3%. The values are still rising. So we went up about 1.5%, and that was from March to April. So real estate stats, there's always a little bit of a delay when you're reading real estate stats. That's why it's important to gauge somebody like Brandy Pike here with Whissel Realty. You need somebody who's really current and relevant, because anytime you're reading stats that are out there, they're going to be delayed. And like this DataQuick, they do everything they can to push these numbers out as quick as possible, but they're always going to be delayed, a few weeks, if not a few months, with the information they come out with. So when you're reading articles online, when you're reading articles in the newspaper, just know that there's usually a pretty big delay in that information that's coming out. You really want to work with a good qualified realtor, again, like Brandy Pike at Whissel Realty, somebody who's really got their finger on the pulse, knows exactly what's going on with the market today. Because what happened in the market a month or 2 months ago is irrelevant. The real estate market now is, reacting a lot like the stock market. We're seeing things go up. We're just seeing things go down just with a little bit of news that's coming out. I mean, you'll see the interest rate jump a 0.5 point, and all these people are like, oh, I don't want to buy a house anymore. In all honesty, if you're buying a house and it's coming down, your buying decision is based on the interest rate being a 0.5 point higher or lower, that might not be the right time to be buying a home. You're buying a home here. You're buying a lifestyle. You're buying a place to raise a family. So
It's a dream.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely buying a dream. So I mean, if you're out there and you're looking to buy a home, the rates are what the rates are. You don't want to sit there and think, oh, well, the rates were so much lower last year, or where are they going to be next year? Make the decision to buy a home, because your family needs a new home. You've saved up the money, you've got the credit where you need it to be, and you're ready to make that decision. But don't let rates moving a 0.5 point, sway that decision one way or another. When you find that home that's going to be right for you, that's when you want to pull that trigger. So Brandy, I mean, rate, or the values going up 1.5%. That was from March to April. What have you kind of been seeing going on since April in the market?
I would say that we're kind of steady. I mean, last year we went way too quick. So to see it going 1% every month is where we need to be. It puts people in the right state of mind. It gives them security. And, rates are still great. So to go out there and to know that, okay, I'm purchasing a home that will eventually continue to increase in value is where people need to be.
That's awesome. And so I know that you do a lot of the listing side for the team over at Whissel Realty. And so I pulled this article up from HGTV, and they're talking about the 10 top ways to increase your home's value. So I want to kind of get your thoughts on some of these ideas that they're coming up with. What do you think about solar and the value of a house?
I think it's great. I mean, some people are going to say that it's, going to add maybe $20,000 to your value. But I mean, you can go from a payment of, or let's say, your utility bill is going to be $300-400 a month, and you're dropping it down to $70 a month. I mean, you have solar, right?
We absolutely have solar.
And what do you think? I mean,
we've had solar, so we moved into our house in June of last year, so we've been there just over a year now, and we got our final, so they bill you annually. When you have solar, you don't pay every single month. They just kind of carry a tab with you. And then at the end of the year, if you're up or down, then they square up with you. So they actually have to write us a check. So we've been there
You're
an
saying
entire year.
SDG&E, right?
SDG&E's got to cut us a check at this point because we generated more electricity than we actually use, which is an amazing feeling.
And the electricity you generate is somehow stored within their system. They're able to sell to maybe like your neighbors.
It's all connected.
In their grid, right?
Yeah, it all feeds back into the grid. So a common misconception with solar is that let's say the power went out, a lot of people think you're going to still have power because you're on solar, and that's not the case typically. Usually with solar, you're still tied into the grid. So when the grid shuts down, you can't pull any power from that grid at that point. They do sell systems where you can go off the grid and you have a full battery backup system. And some of the people out in the rural neighborhoods where there's no power at all, they will go with a fully off-the-grid solar system. It definitely adds some cost. Based on what I've talked to with our solar people, anywhere between 10 and 20 grand to go with the whole battery backup system. But for us, we love having solar. One of the things that we've been seeing lately on the real estate side is if you're looking at getting solar, talk to your realtor before you make that decision, because we're starting to see solar can become a problem depending on, so I know that you guys did a house recently that had solar on it, and the way that they had set the solar agreement up became an issue. What was the situation there?
Okay, so they basically leased it. They didn't purchase the system. So they're actually paying the solar company every month. And when it came down to it, time to sell, the new buyers, were concerned that, okay, if we're gonna have to pay $60 a month, but what if, we're not using that much energy? So what it came down to is the seller actually had to buy out the system. They had to buy out the system from the solar company, and then it got turned over to the buyers, and they purchased it.
Okay.
So that way there wasn't that additional monthly fee that the new buyers had to incur. So it really comes out to how you set it up, whether you're going to purchase a system outright or you're going to lease it. And you really want to figure out with a real estate agent, okay, what's the best way when it comes time to selling the property?
Definitely take that into consideration. If you're thinking about getting a solar system on your house, definitely talk to somebody like Brandy. Again, if you want to reach out to her, she sells homes all over San Diego. So whether you've got a home in San Ysidro, San Onofre, out in East County, Valley Center, we were up in Valley Center last night, wherever you've got a house at, Brandy can be there to help you out, help you make the decision. If you're looking to make some improvements to your home, Brandy can be there to really advise you to make sure that the decision you make is truly going to add value to your home, as opposed to actually taking away from the value of the home and end up costing you money in the long run. So if you want to reach out to Brandy Pike at Whissel Realty, text message us at 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. I will connect you with Brandy, and she can do a full consultation, let you know what your home is worth. Again, if you're thinking about making some improvements, she can be there to help you out. What are you seeing as the rooms that make the biggest difference, the most bang for the buck when somebody's making improvements?
I mean, the kitchen is going to be one. I mean, that's the biggest play. But doing other improvements throughout the home will help generate the value. But I think, the kitchen is what everybody likes to see. That's like kind of the wow impression. So definitely your first impression when going to sell a home is going to kind of give that wow factor.
Right. That kitchen's going to be the center of the home. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
where when you've got people over at your house, you're entertaining. The kitchen is definitely the place where everything happens.
And it's an emotional decision buying a house. So, I know a female loves the kitchen, and that's,
Hey,
Yeah,
always.
But they still like to have a beautiful kitchen, even if they don't cook.
Yeah.
It's the center
I
of the
agree.
home. It's definitely the heart of the home. So when we get back, we're going to go to break here. When we get back, we're going to talk about a couple of the other things that you can do to your home to really add some value. Again, we're talking here with Brandy Pike with Whissel Realty. You're listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on KCBQ 1170.